Hey guys, thank you so much for jumping onto the podcast today. I just wanted to bring one of my clients, Scott, who's done amazing so far on running accomplishments. He's lost a considerable amount of weight. He's focusing on his nutrition and fueling, and he's performing at his very best right now. So I just wanted to bring Scott on to for him to just reflect on his areas which he's improved on with his nutrition, which I feel has been like game changing to get him the best possible results on the program so far. So welcome, Scott. Anyway, mate.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Great,
It
mate.
feels like it's been a while, but it's not been that long.
No, yeah, that's it, isn't it? So, like, just a quick intro, anyway, mate. Just explain a little bit more about yourself to the people on who are listening into this today.
Yeah, so I'm Scott. I've not been running that long. Just over a year now, actually, of running. I think about 13, 14 months. My first race was actually about 13 months ago. The second race I ever did, the anniversary of that's this weekend. So I'm running that race again, which will be really interesting to compare. But I guess like a lot of people, struggled with weight throughout my life. Was really active when I was younger. When I was at university, I was playing sports all the time. Left university, everything drops off. Um, Slowly get older, slowly put on more weight. Um, Go out drinking too much. Your life changes. It's one of those major points, right? You leave university, you're off on your own, carry on the same habits. Um, then I had a bit of a health scare a couple of years ago. So I came back as pre-diabetic with the doctors. I just had a routine blood test and it came back. I tried to manage it myself for a year. Um, Thought I was doing everything right. The thing with pre-diabetes, it's mainly nutrition. Um, yeah, exercise is part of it, but the big thing that changed it is your nutrition. Spent a year doing it, things got worse. And then I started on a bit of a program with the GPs. Started taking up running then, and then really started to think more about my nutrition because I thought I was doing everything right. Um, you get bombarded with things every day of this is what you should be doing. Cut out carbs, don't cut out carbs, go paleo, go every single fad thing that comes along. You get bombarded with, you think, yeah, that sounds about right, and you give it a go. It clearly wasn't for me. Um, and that started me on that journey of taking things really back to basics. Um, and then, yeah, spent some time on myself doing some running, joined a running club, and started with you, Dan, back in October, November time.
Mm. Yeah.
So about 9 months now.
Yeah, and mate, you've done amazing so far, and obviously we'll discuss a little bit more your journey, and obviously the fact right now at this moment your circumstances are changing quite a lot because you're now a dad.
Yep.
For this, it changes your life in so many ways. So it's trying to make sure that we can manage this as well and try and make things as simple and as practical and as convenient as possible because I know you have a busy life, mate, and I know that you're in a position where you've probably got like less time on your hands. You've got additional things that you need to be doing right now alongside your work as well and everything else that you want to do, going to the running club, and now obviously being a dad alongside that, which is going to take up a lot of your time. So, managing that in the best possible way and changing things around, I think is really important to get yourself some even bigger wins on the program, trying to manage this situation in the best possible way with your lifestyle changing right now. So what I first want to discuss here is me, as you mentioned before, 14 months when you started running. And I want to go back to that sort of like time period of 14 months ago. So when you were not running and what actually made you start running anyway? Because as I say, we could have done any type of activity. We could have just like done any type of movements or training. So what made you want to start running up 14 months ago?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. One, running's basically free. You've not got to invest heavily in things.
Yeah.
It ends up being really expensive because you get into buying every sort of running shoe going, and they add up a bit. But you need a pair of trainers and outside. You can do it. Anybody can do it, and you build it at your own pace. One of the big reasons actually was I could do it on my own. So when you're quite fat, you're inactive. Actually, going to a gym's quite intimidating. You don't want to really do it. And my runs, I go out to kind of the middle of nowhere. I live in the city, right? I'm in Sheffield. I'm 10 minutes from the city centre. No way I would have run around the streets around here. It'd be in my head. Someone's going to say something at you. None of that actually happens, but it's there in your head. It goes somewhere on my own. And then, I mean, what I needed was some sort of thing that I could keep going to. So I started going to parkrun on Saturdays. That was my first regular thing. And that worked because there's people that walk it, there's people that run it. I mean, I think my first one was about 50 minutes. Um, that is a walk for most people. For
Yeah,
me, that was me running and out of breath and sweating and tired. And at the same time as people doing it in 15 minutes. There's a complete range. And that routine really is what kept me going on the running side. But the big thing running is it was free and it was available and I could do it on my own. That has its own challenge, right, of getting the motivation. But that's where things like Parkrun stepped in and a Couch to 5K started up and I joined that with people who are similar fitness levels, similar goals. And yeah, you get that little support group around you, all pushing each other on.
of course. Yeah, I think the community with the running, I couldn't obviously vouch on this too much because I'm a very unsociable runner. Some people may know from listening to me a lot, is I just like to stick my headphones in and just run. It's like it's not too technical any more than what it potentially was years ago when I was quite competitive. But I know for a lot of people who are currently on the program, like yourself with me, the community with running and, being around people who spur you on and give you that positive push mentally of, booking that next race, focusing your attention on trying to make sure that you can be the best version of yourself is really important. And it's great to have that community around you to do that. So I think it's great that you've found your love for running. It wasn't just something which happened straight away, but then you've obviously found your love for running with community, enjoyment of running after a period of time, and it's just built from then. So that's always good to hear. And what I probably want to look at really is more your struggles before joining the program because you mentioned to me that you tried like every diet out there. Obviously you had a few health scares as well, and obviously the weight was something that you wanted to lose, and that was something which was important for you to focus on. So just tell me more on your struggles that you were generally tending to face, obviously before joining me anyway, when it related to nutrition.
Yeah, so honestly, nothing special. Some things that people, like I'd say most people have who have a desk-based job. So I work at a desk. Um, Kind of just got into it. It's not even a routine, a habit of, if I'm driving to the office, it's a good hour and a half drive. Grab something quickly or grab nothing for breakfast. Um, Start getting hungry midday. You're at the office, you go to the local supermarket, grab whatever you can. And then I'm getting home 7, 8, 9 at night. So, it'd be what can I grab on the way home? Either something I can eat in the car or it's a drive through on the way home because you get home, you've left the house at 6 in the morning, you get home at 9 at night, you're not wanting to cook. It's not on your list of things. And I got into that habit. Lots of us get into it. It's the Tesco meal deal, right? They exist for a reason. And you can have, pretty balanced things with that, but day after day, they add up. They get a bit boring as well. And then you start trying the other local places around. Um, Along with that, because I kept skipping meals, and they were really carb based. It's one of the things when we started the program, I reflected back, every meal would have one or two carbs as part of it. Um, and it's something I was brought up doing. Like if you get, say you have a lasagna for tea, you've got your pasta in there, that's your carb. But in my family, you also had garlic bread on the side. There's another, and then you have chips was a thing as well. With that came in at school a while ago when I was there, and then you realize actually it's just carbs, and carbs aren't bad. You do need them, but it's in that balance when your diet's entirely carbs, and that's what mine was. It's if you think of the fast food that you can grab on the go, most are carb based.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the habit I got into. Every time I tried to stop carbs, I'd get headaches because your body's having a sugar crash basically. And along with that, fruit and veg just dropped out. They just didn't happen. Wasn't much of a snack, and never have been. In terms of biscuits, crisps, that sort of thing. My wife is. So bad influences on each other as well. Um, just takes one. You'd have a bad day going, you know what? Should we have a takeaway today? And then you go, yeah, you know what? Why not? It saves us some time.
Yeah.
Uh, and that just happened. I used to do sport. I used to do a lot of rugby, lacrosse, American football, and I ate high calorie for those because I needed to. When the activity stopped, that also carried on. So, I had this high carb, high calories, low exercise, desk-based job, not really doing anything, driving to work, not really walking around at work. Daily activity you used to get kind of went out the window. Um, and then, yeah, came across yourself,
Yeah.
really.
I think what you mentioned there is very relatable to a lot of people probably listening to this now, is you get into a position where you need things as quick and as convenient as possible and as practical as possible. And I mention this anyway to people when I'm trying to coach them. There is three areas that you need to be on to be successful with your diet in any type of diet that you want them to work on, or let's say, a goal that you want them to work towards is we need obviously nutrition which works for, for our goal of whatever goal that we want them to achieve, whether it's, performance, fueling, losing weight, health markers, whatever it is, you focus on that as one particular area. The second one is trying to make sure that you enjoy foods that you love, and it's like focusing your attention on enjoyment of foods and making sure that we can select them within your daily diet, so it doesn't feel as if like, oh, I'm just eating this for a goal and a target, because that will just it'll get moved to one side. As you mentioned before, you've tried all these diets out and you focus on a diet because you know that you want to get the results. But in reality, we're not focusing on it because we enjoy the foods that we want. We're focusing on it for one primary reason, which is to hit a goal and a target. And then what happens then? It's like it's like an elastic band scenario. It's like it doesn't matter how far you pull that elastic band, you let go of it and it's just going to go back up to its set point. You'll fall back into old habits and then you have a poor relationship with food. And then the third one, which you've brought up, is practicality and convenience. Every single person that I speak to, and goes for everyone, they're all busy. Not one person I coach is not a busy person. They've all got either a family life, they've got like a big social life, they've got, work commitments. And you will go like to the shops and buy like a meal deal, or you might nip into McDonald's, or you might grab a chocolate bar, or you might go through the day where you're really busy and you don't eat anything. And then what happens then? We overeat, and then we have this poor relationship with food as well. And it's trying to make sure that we can solve that in the best possible way. And what I probably want to ask for yourself on this, Scott, is like, what was the main purpose for changing your diet and your nutrition around? Because obviously you've tried all of these methods before.
Yeah, and you've reminded me actually of just my first pet hate meal that made me completely hate food and have a bad relationship is it's the one you see around all the time from people in fitness. Brown rice, chicken, broccoli for every meal. That's the perfect example.
Yeah.
There's one meal, right? That is great. It's balanced. Every single day, it is the most boring thing in the world.
Yeah.
The main thing for me with losing the weight was it was improving my health, right? That was the big thing for me. Yeah, let's say I'm lucky. I had a very tangible thing to pin it on. Is like, I need to drop my blood sugar down.
Mm.
And I'd largely done that actually. That was already done by the time I started with you.
Mm.
But it was that I wasn't enjoying it. I was doing it. I was getting through the day. But I was feeling crappy to be honest. Like I was tired on every single run. Um, I didn't feel good about myself. I was getting food in. I was meeting, what my body needed as a bare minimum, but I'd be waking up with headaches, because I probably cut the calories too low, to be honest. not just cutting sugar out completely as well. I went that extreme of cut everything out, get it down to baseline, and I'll feel great, which actually I did. I felt worse. Um, and that hit me with, that really did hit me big with running. And then there'd be weeks where I went, you know what, I'm too tired to even go outside. Um, and that was where I knew I needed that change. I need to shake things up a bit and look at things a bit differently. Um,
Mm,
and as a start with yourself, I'd moved more away from doing it for the weight loss and more for doing it for performance because
mm,
they come hand in hand. Um, you get one right, the other follows. Um,
mm. I think what you've just mentioned there is a really important point because I speak to so many people with regards to this. Is like I'm eating health conscious foods. Like, I don't know where I'm going wrong. It's like I eat health conscious foods, I eat really healthy, and I'm feeling tired, or I'm not recovering well, or I'm not performing at my very best. There is a difference, and this is what people don't necessarily understand. There's a difference between health, eating a health conscious food for your health and improving your health markers to, performance nutrition. And that is a huge factor which is really important for people to consider thinking about is like you need to make sure that you understand that yes, health foods and some like leafy greens or protein based meal and some rice or whatever else, they're great. We want to make sure that we can consume in them. But in reality, we need to make sure that we can find something which supports the running as well
yeah,
and fuel inside to get ourselves moving forward. So my question to you on this, mate, is like, what surprised you the most with your wins, with your running when it came to fueling side of the running side? Yeah.
yeah. So probably worth throwing in. I race a lot. I've raced a lot this year. Uh, and there's two things. One, I'm able to sustain that many races. So I've just pulled up my list from the year. Since January, I've had 37 races. That's a lot. It's roughly two a week. Some weeks I've had three or four races same week. From the fueling, I've not had an injury, which is really interesting because I've been able to recover. You need that fuel to recover. And two, I've actually been able to do the races, right? It takes a lot of energy to do on your body to do a race going flat out. Um, and I've been able to do races back to back, long races back to back. I'm not talking, I'm just doing a 2K or a 3K here. Um, in May, I did a half marathon one week. I did another half marathon the next week, and I set PBs in both of them. And that's down to the fueling. Before, when I got the fueling wrong, I'd do a race. If I got it wrong, I'd feel sick partway through. Like if I'd had something normally, high protein. You think I did this for my first 10K ever, staying over at a hotel. I had, the hotel breakfast of everything, thinking that's what I need for the race. I threw up about 2K in, and it was in Manchester, so it was a busy route. Um, Now, before a half marathon, I'll have a couple of hours before, I'll have some toast and some jam. Like when you first introduced me to that on the plane, I was like, no, there's no way that's enough to keep me going and to get me going. You know, but that and a banana a bit closer, actually, it's more than enough for me to get through the race with, if I'm going all out, a few gels on the route and water and things. Um, and it's realizing actually that shift to carbs for the running side, that's what your body needs at that point. After it, I'm straight there with 50 grams of protein straight after a race to start that muscle recovery, which sets me up for the next one. And that's what's been able to keep me going. Yeah, there's the strength training, the regular runs, they all obviously help towards it. But I wouldn't be able to do any of those without the fueling and the nutrition. They are the biggest impact on my running. And out of those 37 races, I've had 15 PBs. Like it's become a bit of a joke amongst people that every week I seem to get a new PB in something, be it a local segment or a race distance. Somebody actually said for those two half marathons, you're going to have to take one of them really easy because your body won't be able to recover in that time. And it wasn't. I knocked 6 minutes off in a week. It wasn't getting a couple of seconds extra. And I did a 5 mile race in the middle as well on the Wednesday, which I also got a PB on in that distance. So, and that's all down to the fueling. I'd done the training, I'd done the conditioning. So, I had that base from university, but I'd never be able to keep that up normally until I did that focus on the fueling, and keeping that simple. Finding what works and sticking to it is
Yeah.
made the difference for me.
I think what because obviously I like to explain the reasons for why. Like
Yeah,
as me as a coach, it's like it's important for me to tell you the reasons why. It's like people don't know that. It's like why am I consuming this food? Why am I eating this? And it's like if I tell you why, it's like you're more inclined to do it. Like because you know it's going to help you out. And it's like you mentioned like about the breakfast that you had, the like huge breakfast that you
yeah,
consumed, and it was probably containing maybe a lot of fiber. It probably had like a lot of protein and a lot of fat in as well.
it
It's like,
did.
like your regular like cooked breakfast is like people would probably love
Yeah,
to go for that. It's like I'll just consume all this and it's loads of calories and it's going to support me. Big reason for that is, yeah, calories will help you out, and it's the biggest priority. People people talk about carbs, but they don't necessarily talk about calories. Yes, we need that, but if you're consuming something just before a race, like that type of food, it's going to take you longer to digest it, which is digestion's obviously a big thing.
Mm.
And then you trying to run that race when that happens, it's going to affect us in some form of way, and it's going to affect our experience. And I think it's about timing these things and understanding when to eat and what to do. It's like, I explain this on my programs all the time, and like what you should be doing. It's like you need to know what's coming next because in reality, through the week, if you've not got any long runs, to on the weekend when you've got a long run, there needs to be some form of switch over where you're maybe 24 hours before you're having like simple basic carbs, which are easy to digest a little bit more, help you ramp up your calories and your carbohydrates. You don't feel bloated as such as well. You go out, you smash a great run out, you hit a PB or whatever else, or your times are improving, and then afterwards we get back on board and we have some like a protein fix. And it's sometimes it takes time to do that because that's not your normal routine. And sometimes it is about do this, like this is what you need to do next. This is what you need to eat next. And that has to be done as a habit to understand what you need to do up here. But before that is like a habit because habits take time. They're not just going to be like solved straight away and you're like, okay, I'll just eat this food. You need to plan what you're doing next with your day and when the switch overs and what you're going to be having. Do that for a few weeks. What happens then is it slowly starts to become a habit where you don't necessarily need to think about what you're eating. It's like it's just there. I eat that food, and I know when it gets to Friday evening because I've got a long run on a Saturday that I need to prioritize, a switch over, and I've got my go-to high carb like meal, and then obviously I know what I'm having in the morning, a breakfast that I need to switch over and change.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably an important thing as well. So, um, probably what I want to do now is like more on obviously the food habits, which obviously held you back as well, which
Mhm.
I think it's really important to obviously focus a little bit more on that. And how do you feel that shifted that and changed your habits around, which has supported you whilst I've been coaching you?
Yeah, yeah. So it's really interesting habits because in my day job habits is where I've done a lot of research um, around computer security. So, completely different, but the science is still the same and the psychology is still the same on it. Habits are the hardest thing to break once you're in one. They're hard to remake new ones. So, I knew that up front. It doesn't make it any easier knowing it's hard, to be honest. Um, and the only reason way I was able to break it was having a plan and literally writing it down. I was ticking it off every day, probably for about 6 weeks. I was doing that every single meal. Right, what am I doing for this one? And it was a lot of brain effort, a lot of planning ahead of. I did a full clear out of everything in the fridge, everything in the cupboards, and I planned out a week of food. Look, my wife's great at planning. She loves planning. I don't. So yeah, I get these are the parameters that I need to work within. We set up a shop. We cleared out everything and started fresh like that. Um, and that I couldn't slip back into my old habits because the food wasn't there to slip into the old habits.
I
Uh,
get it. I get
and
it.
yeah, I'm from Yorkshire. Once we'd spent quite a bit on, buying all this new stuff in. Really didn't want to spend more money on going out for a takeaway or or a meal. And just being a bit tight, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, forcing that it can be hard because you think, oh God, it's going to be like this forever. Yeah, I'm going to have to spend hours at the weekend planning out every single meal. Actually, it's not. You can find a few things that you like. I do make meal prep now because I need to with a 3-week-old baby. It's a way for me to get time back. Um, but doing that, yeah, that really quite strict planning for a while, and yeah, I was logging absolutely everything as well. That helped me pick up on a few things that I wasn't aware of, where you know calories were sneaking in, snacks were sneaking in. It's the things around the office where
Yeah.
somebody's brought something in, and that there's been a meeting and someone's been out to Costa and bought coffees for everyone. Those little things that you don't really think about, and that when you've had a 3-hour meeting, you really feel you need. Um, and it was a lot of mental effort to keep on top of that to start with. It's not easy to break them. Once it was broken, though, I can't imagine going back now. I found a nice regular protein breakfast for me. Overnight oats. Do them hot. I can do them cold. I can mix up the things I put in there. I can do them sweet. I can do them savory. So it's not always the same. And that's, what I got from the program as well. Before the program, if I was doing that, I probably would have gone, I'll have porridge every day. Like, it's simple, it's the same thing. You're going to get bored of just plain porridge every morning, and you're going to hate it in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Um, so I had, that base that I can vary, and that'll start, that works for all meals now. Um, I'll buy, a small variation of things, but you just need handful of different things. You can make 30 or 40 different meals, and they are completely different.
100%. And I mean, there's two things which I want to bring up here, which is really helpful to people listening in here. And the first one is changing your environment at home. And like, I used to do this. Like, I'm not saying it's just necessarily like clients that I have to work with to change the habits around. I used to do this as well. On a Friday, I'm probably talking like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. This was like very, very regular. I used to do this on a Friday. I'd purchase like them cookies that you can get, and they always come in a pack of five, don't they?
Yeah.
It's five. So you buy a pack of five, and like you put them in the cupboard, and you think, oh, it's a Friday, I'll have one as a treat and whatever else, and then it's just staring at you in the cupboard, and it's like it's looking at you, and you think, oh, that was really nice. That it's like I'm full, but you still there's always room for dessert, which is a very
Yeah.
common sort of saying, isn't it? So I go out and get another one and consume it. And then a couple of hours later, I'm watching, Netflix or whatever else, and then all of a sudden, then I want another one, and I like, but by the time you know it, like it's Friday's dawn, and I wake up the next day, and there's none left. It's like it's so
Yeah.
easy to do because you've got that environment where you maybe have these highly palatable snacks, and it's really hard for you to resist the urge to have them sometimes. And sometimes it is about creating a better environment at home where they're not necessarily there. And if you, like I say this, like just purchase the one bar of something, like it's not on your mind as such as well. And obviously, if you can support your goal with other, nutrition, which is quite high in protein and it's got lots of fiber in and everything around the house, and you're consuming that as well, then you're going to have less of an urge to consume that processed food because you're eating quite regular throughout the day and you're not going for like hours upon hours not eating anything and then having the cravings to grab something from the cupboard. You've got that good routine and you can have the odd treat once in a while. And I think the next one is like the fact that you shorten the choice of foods of what you have. And I think variety is great. And I'm not saying like eat the same meal every single day and have the same breakfast and snacks every single day, because in reality, that's not necessarily improving your relationship with food. But if you
Mm.
can just shorten down, like maybe have a couple of different high protein breakfast, one high carb breakfast that you usually have on the weekend, a few meals that you usually love to have, which are quite high in protein. They've got vegetables in. You have your treat meal or a couple of treat meals on the weekend, and you've got a big list of like foods of there, but you can just they're your go-to meals, and you can just pick from that. And it's not like you're going in and trying loads of different things all the time, and it's always varied because it just makes it so much harder and
Yeah,
challenging for you to reach your goal. If you this decision fatigue, and it's a big fact that I always bring up, is like if you have too many decisions and you're not sure what to eat next, it's like things are going to be very varied, and it's going to affect you building that, that them habits basically, and building that good routine. So I think it's really important to potentially have your go-to foods, what you like to have, what you enjoy having, which are practical and convenient. And
yeah,
also as well, it's like it helps you hit the goal that you want. Ticking off all of these things is a big priority, because then it really makes things so much easier for you to reach your goals and targets. You're not having to worry and if you're a really busy person like yourself and like people who are listening into this, you haven't got time to be thinking about what food's next. And that's probably the reason why people grab on the go and stuff like that. It's
yeah,
not just necessarily from a practicality and convenience. It's the fact that you're in a position where you don't necessarily know what to eat, but you haven't got time to think about that. So you just grab whatever. And it's like this is where we're all over the place. And then like energy levels are low, and you're gaining weight, your running's not necessarily improving, you're not recovering well because you're all over the place. You've not got that structure in place, or you've not got them sort of ideas of certain types of foods which are going to support you really. So yeah.
yeah. And as much as treats do come back, I've got these on my desk actually.
Oh, Jaffa
So
Cakes. He's got
yeah,
the Jaffa
so
Cakes out. Right. Okay.
they've
Yeah.
been on my desk for 2 weeks now. Baby was born 3 weeks ago, and yeah, there's still a full pack of them in there. Like, and that's between me and my wife. A normal, like, if I look back a year ago, all of those would have been gone in one day,
Mm.
like very easily. And these are sat in front of me while I've been knackered, while my wife's been knackered, and they're not touched. I couldn't have imagined that just over a year ago. I couldn't imagine it about 11 months ago, to be honest, at this time last year.
Yeah.
Um, and that for me, yeah, that's a huge thing, not to just mindlessly eat something like that. Because yeah, processed foods are nice, like they're designed to be. Like that's what the manufacturers are doing. If they tasted awful, you wouldn't have 30 of them.
That's it. And I think that's the thing. And it's going to be really hard for a lot of people anyway, because you go into a shop and you know, everywhere you see there's processed, highly palatable snacks, and we use that, for practicality and convenience. We use it for a coping mechanism to make ourselves
Yeah,
feel better, and we're usually in this vicious cycle, which it's really challenging. It's just the world we live in now, unfortunately, and it's trying to make sure that we can make the best decisions and know your reasons for why like you want to change. And that's sometimes it's
yeah,
hard to hold back on that, but when you do that for a period of time and you have that little bit of willpower, it's not like we need willpower all the time, but sometimes when we are starting things we have to hold back on things and say, if I'm saying no to this chocolate bar, and I'm not saying no to looking at that donut and them donuts as you go in to pay for your fuel in Morrison's or whatever else, it's like I'm making that decision to say no because I'm also saying yes to something else. I'm saying yes to a little bit of weight loss. I'm also saying yes to a health conscious meal, which is going to be, helping me with my recovery. And these things are really important. And I think this is really, really helpful for people to understand is you will make decisions all the time without you being aware of it. And sometimes they're great decisions and they move you in the right direction, and other times they're not. And it's being having that awareness. And I think from a tracking point of view, as you mentioned, it's like I don't think like the main purpose is the amount of calories that you need to consume when you're tracking. The main thing is like you just having the awareness of what you are eating, because you're more likely to evaluate and be aware of these things. It's just like a common scenario a lot of people have is like they'll eat health conscious foods and track, and then when they're eating processed food they don't track. It's like just track it all, like, and if you even don't want to track your calories, because some people don't like to do that, write it down, take a photo, and you text on your phone. Like how quick is it to send a text message to your friend? It's like get your notes out on your phone and just type it down because you're just becoming aware of what you're eating, and then it might make you make a more of a conscious decision to do things. So my question to you on this, Scott, as well is like, what would you say to anyone who feels that they need to improve their nutrition, who's maybe listening to this right now, and they are a runner and they're wanting to improve their performance? They maybe want to lose a bit of weight, gain some muscle as well. What would you say to somebody who potentially needs to improve them areas around nutrition?
Yeah. So first off, you can do them all. Like that, there's you'll see it from lots of other people. Like, oh, if you're going to do running, you can't do weight training. You can't be strong. You can't do that. High rocks kind of proves that wrong, right? um, but you get those extremes. Oh, if you want to be massive in the gym, oh, you can't do cardio. No, that'll impact you. Um, you can actually do it all. Like you can balance it. You can balance it around life. You just need the right support around it. And that's what I've had from yourself over the last 9 months. The big thing that you had me thinking about when I first joined, I've just been thinking about this now, is having that North Star, having that why. Because that's, no matter how much support you have, how much training, there's times you're on your own. Like you're not sat with me 24 hours a day. You're not going to do that for anyone. You can't do that for yourself, right? If you've got that why, where you will make bad decisions, or you'll make decisions that you're not happy with. Once you've got that why, that's the thing that'll get you back on track and keep you going with your nutrition. Yeah, mine was the health factors. Now I've got a 3 week old baby, so it's her. And I know now, for me to be a healthy dad and to look after her, my nutrition needs to be right. And, having somebody in your corner, which for me has been you. Yeah, I've got all my friends around me as well. I've got my running club, who will support you and guide you, on, just being honest with you, actually. That's the big thing I've had from you is that being honest of, when I have had a bad week and, said about all the great things, the challenge as well. There's been some really bad weeks. Like I went off the rails at New Year, like probably loads of people do. And I started with you. I was really hesitant to start with you. I remember this because it was just before I was going on holiday. It's my 10th wedding anniversary. I was going on holiday for 3 weeks. And 2 weeks of it was an all-inclusive. And actually, during those, you convinced me to start earlier. Going, yeah, no, you can still enjoy yourself on holiday. I was in New York, I was in Mexico. There was unlimited supplies of food and booze, and America's big on their food and their portion sizes. I lost weight during those 3 weeks, which is completely mad. Um, so for me, it's get that support, make that plan, and have your why. And really think about, make it something meaningful, not something really generic. And I've done this. I started with, I want to lose weight. So that's not a why. That's kind of why do you want to lose weight? What's the thing behind it? And I've got some of my stats here actually, if you're interested, because I've been measuring more and more. In the last 4 months, I've lost 4% body fat. So I'm losing 1% body fat a month. I've done that kind of all the way along. I've got a lot of it to lose, which helps, but there's still a lot there to go. With you, in terms of running, I've cut 20 minutes off my half marathon time in 9 months, which is mad. Um, and I really love data, I really love measuring things, but actually the most important thing is because of actually really the nutrition changes have made the difference. I've noticed the weeks where it's gone to shit, to be honest. I feel awful, but I feel happier. And that is mainly the nutrition changes. Running's great, releases the endorphins. You get the runner's high, quickly goes. Um, but the nutrition, it's made me happier as a person. It's improved my relationship with food. Actually, what I didn't expect is it's changed it for my wife as well, because I'm doing things different. She sees it. 3 weeks in, she's lost all her baby weight, which is incredible. And that's just through the nutrition side. She's had surgery. She's not been able to do walking. Um, it sounds really cheesy. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to. But that nutrition side has altered my life. I've struggled with weight all my life. Yes, I've still got a long way to go. But I can see the video now compared to the first one we did.
Yeah.
And people said this, I look like a different person. They don't recognize me. Um, and I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to. I'm off work now because of paternity leave. I go back in December. it's going to be great to see people's responses then after another 6 months of this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, reach out for that support, and someone who knows what they're doing.
I think as well as like it saves a lot of time and energy doing it on your own because
Yeah, absolutely.
so many conflicting advice, especially from a nutrition standpoint. There's so many conflicted advice. There's plans, generic plans, templated programs, which are given to thousands upon thousands of people. And somebody might get results on it. And it's like a little like, oh, I hit this goal and I was able to lose weight, or because usually it's from weight loss point of view, not
Yeah,
performance, but just from a general point of view, or it might even be from performance. It's like, oh, I tried this method, eat these foods before you do a run. It's like you don't know, like you're an individual. It has to work for you. It has to work for what you want, not what somebody else has got. And most people promote a win, but then they say to themselves, I was like, I hit some amazing wins, but like long term consistency, was it consistent? Are you still in the position you're in now? Are you still getting the wins that you want? So I think
yeah,
really, really important to make sure that you are aware that there is a way, there is a method which fits in with your everyday life, and it's just trying to figure out what that is. And there's not one like plan or nutrition or diet. Like I give lots of resources out to people a hell of a lot of the time over on social media and in emails and whatever else. And it's going to give you some advice, but it's not, it's still generic advice. I'm just giving you advice on some ideas. Like, how
yeah,
do I know if that do I know that's going to fit in with you? I don't know because I don't know you as a person. I don't know how much weight you need to lose, or if you don't need to lose weight, or if you want to progress with your running, which is a goal, which is the main goal and priority. What's your relationship with like with food? What's your lifestyle like? How busy you are? Like all of these factors play a key role on trying to figure out exactly what it is for you, so you stop wasting time, you stop wasting as much energy figuring out like yourself, and you get the quickest possible results, and then you move away and you're like, I'm sorted now for life. It's like I don't think about nutrition right now. I didn't this, I'll be honest as well, as I tell everyone in here, is like I had a poor relationship with food. I went through a cycle of being in a big caloric deficit years ago, and I was like, I pushed myself, and it was when I was a PT. I wasn't a registered nutritionist, and this is the thing which
mm,
I have to say to people is like, there's a lot of PTs out there handing out plans, and I'm quite like. I that does spin round in my mind is like, have they got the knowledge? Because I've been a PT for like 16 years, or in the fitness industry for 16 years. It's like I didn't know about nutrition back then, and I was reluctant to send anyone to myself to support them around nutrition because I didn't know. I knew the elements of exercise and how to progress and get your strength training in. When in reality, I didn't know too much about the nutrition side, and then I had a poor relationship with food. I sent myself down a path of restriction and then a binge cycle. I lost too much weight. I dropped a lot of muscle mass. I didn't look great, even though I felt like I was at the time. I was like in denial with it a little bit, sort of thing, for a while. And I took the attention off that, and I decided to get qualified in nutrition, not just to help people who I wanted to potentially work with, but also as well trying to make sure I could help myself out. So last question, Scott. What are your goals next, mate? What would you like to achieve moving forward? What's your biggest goals and targets, mate?
yeah. So I I've not told you about this one. It's just come through a couple of days ago. So, sorry, the neighbours sound like falling through the wall then. So it's either going to be later this year or early next year. I'm doing some charity stuff at the moment, but one of the things is I want to get my half marathon time under 2 hours, which isn't far away. I'll do that by the end of the year. Um, but alongside my charity stuff, I've been speaking to Guinness World Records, and they've now approved one for me to attempt, which is the fastest half marathon dressed as a bird.
All right.
So that's the next big one. So yeah, they've given me all my parameters that I've got to do it in. It's yeah, it's the sort of person I am. Yeah, let's find the next absolute mad thing to do. So that's my long-term one. Um, at the moment, it's finishing my current charity challenge, which is 567 race miles across the year. Um, which nutrition is the biggest part of that. There's only way to get that in is by fueling. I've got marathon in a month. I've got 12-hour run the week after. I've got the three peaks throughout the year. It's getting through those and enjoying them, like not just getting through them, actually enjoying them.
Yeah, I think that's a bit important factor is for people people want to hit PB times, but it's also having a great experience and enjoying the running as well. I think that's an important role because some people don't. Some
Yeah,
people do the races and they have overwhelm, they're unsure, they slow down, they hit the wall, or they just don't perform well, and it affects their love for running.
yeah,
With everyone
absolutely.
help, trying to make sure that they find their love for running even more than what it is at the moment in time. So. I think that
Yeah.
is everything, Scott, and I appreciate you jumping on the call today, and obviously us discussing a few things. But where can people find you anyway if they want to check you out on Instagram, mate?
Yeah, so my Instagram's Scott Runs UK. I post on there pretty regularly. It's normally every day. It's a little bit overloaded with baby photos at the moment. Um, as I think I posted recently. Babies are great for a couple of things. One, zone one runs because you can't sprint with them. And two, they're really good at messing up your sleep pattern and your heart rate variability. So I'm going to be posting more about being a dad and running on there and getting through that and kind of finding my new normal and finding a new routine. 'Cause it's hard to fit everything in. But there's a way through it. I'm still running. The week my baby was born, I did three races. So, and my wife was still happy with me and didn't lock me out. So, I'm doing something right. I'm just someone who's a normal person who got into running and loves it now.
Great, amazing, mate. And as guys, if you want to find myself on Instagram as well, you can just search Dan at Dan fresh lifestyle fitness. And obviously, I've got plenty of information and support for you guys there. And as I say, there's plenty of resources that I could potentially throw your way if you need any additional support on this. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.